Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So weird. It didn't do that before, huh? Well, we are recording now, week 7, second to last week before the end of this cohort. I guess we can just get into it. I think I'm on demos today, so yeah, I'm really excited to see these demos. I think the mentors all share a common thread here of it was like a joy to look at to do the code reviews because the app looks amazing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to like seeing the demos and the code and the thought behind it. So anyone who wants to go first, Katya or Chinemi, or I don't know if maybe Katya.
Yes, I will be the first. I don't know if Cynthia will join later.
Okay, so we'll go with that.
Do you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So once again, hi everyone. A quick catch up on what's been going on with our app. We were given a task to simplify the user experience and make more enjoyable 3 views of the smart shopping app. This included home view, list view, and an item view. And to that end, we needed to focus on the app's language, its layout, navigation, information discoverability, and task completion. And prototypes were where it all began. So this is how it all started. And they helped work out the details of the interface. We understood that we wanted a nice color scheme, something pleasing to the eye and consistent with the design of all app views. We wanted a clear demarcation between the app views to make it easy for the users to identify where they are in the app. And we wanted to avoid too much on a limited screen space. So now for the good stuff, the result. I'm going to show it to you now here. So to give users unobtrusive hints, we decided to use icons and page headers as location indicators. Without them, we thought it's more difficult to know whether you've landed in the right place. So the app starts, we are given 2 options, 2 buttons to either create a new shopping list or join an existing one. And like I said, we wanted to avoid page clutter and making the views look too tight. So here the user is offered to start adding items to the shopping list. Okay. If they enter a duplicate item, they're going to be warned and see a message. If they try submitting an empty form, they again get to see a warning. So let's add a couple of more items. I'm going to be very quick. More. And now we're ready to view our shopping list. So to support scannability, we wanted to display information in a clear and easy to comprehend way. So when it came to filtering shopping list items according to their urgency, we chose to present those details the following way. We chose to group items by urgency, present the user with the list of groups to which those purchase items belong. We thought doing so helps users better understand how everything is organized, and that structuring information this way is more logical and meaningful to the user. Also, there is a quick way to, well, delete the filtered items, and there is a visual feedback for users interacting with them. Users are asked to confirm whether they really want to remove something. And finally, we made the app behave responsibly. So whichever screen you are viewing it from, small screens or wider ones. And yeah, this is basically it. Let me. Are you seeing my VS Code? Yeah, awesome. So CSS Wide, there is a lot happening here. We didn't grab any Google fonts. We used the local ones. Pooling some others might be one of the things to explore. So for this project, we used vanilla CSS. And we started with adding reset to reset box sizing rules, remove default padding, margin, set some core border defaults, and remove list styles, and inherit fonts for inputs and buttons. There is some CSS going on for like separate components. Further down, we make some adjustments to our layout. Mostly we used Flexbox for doing so, to flexibly lay out the direct children of whichever container. And yeah, I don't have much to say, to be honest. Well, basically, there is obviously much more work to be done. I mean, like Julia noted, this could be broken down in separate components to just make it easier to orient in the project. Maybe more CSS variables, maybe Sass as well, because so far it's just CSS only. Yeah, this is it.
Awesome, so good. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I think, yeah, when I was, if I were just doing this right now as like a project on the side, I feel like, yeah, vanilla CSS is pretty easy just to have everything listed in front of you. And especially starting from the very beginning, it's like, okay, it's easy to build on, but it could be an interesting exercise later on if you wanted to get more comfortable with a sort of CSS framework or another library, and then just try to refactor it and see how to do from there. That could be pretty cool. But I mean, I'm all about vanilla CSS.
Yeah, I know that Tailwind CSS basically speeds up the process of work, but I guess for me, working with vanilla CSS is easier because I don't need to debug the code written by someone else. So yeah, it's much less time consuming. I guess it's a individual preference.
Totally.
Whatever works for everyone.
Yep, I have a different philosophy about CSS because I don't like CSS that much. I prefer frameworks because I like to have some guidelines to help me.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I meant it's very subjective, and yes, it all depends on what you are used to work with. But for me, the most important part has been just sharpening my fundamentals and working with fundamentals, because libraries, frameworks, they get old, and yeah, and if they do, you are left with nothing unless you have some foundations to lean on.
Yeah, I think I totally agree on that, and I think it's the most important part is that you can explain why you chose CSS, or why you chose the particular framework.
I also want to say that I mean, it looks awesome right now. I really like the colors. I like this a bit of a retro style with the, you know, the orange, the dots. And I don't know what the style is called. I like it very much with the shadows and the black borders, you know, that it looks kind of plastic. I like that style a lot. So really great job. You know, if you left the app exactly as it is right now, I think the only things, you know, I've noticed are maybe, you know, maybe you can add some space around the ticks in the item list, and, you know, between some buttons. I think, you know, some very small minor things. If you leave it the way it is right now, it looks awesome. And what I especially loved is the, you know, that you separate the inactive, you have a title, the soon, not soon. So it's very clear what you need to buy. And you're not based only on colors.
Yeah.
I also like that one.
Well, it's all thanks to Cynthia and Janemi. They were the ones who written that part of the code.
Okay,
Awesome.
great. I was wondering if you were thinking about when adding an item to the list, like that there would be something like successfully added or something like this, or did you never thought about that? Sometimes I'm wondering, oh, is it even in the list? I'm not sure.
You mean like a pop-up message with?
Yeah, for example.
Yes, it's one of the features that could be added, but again, like, it's all very subjective. Some people do not like animation and get tired of, I don't know, it's all discussed within our team. So this is basically, I've just shown you the work that we've managed to do during this week. But definitely there is no end to improvement, and stuff to be polished.
Yeah, so great work. So I guess, yeah, we can go on. Shanemi, I don't know. So you did end up working a little bit this week. I know that you had exams and whatnot. Did everything go well with your exams, by the way?
Thank you, Alex. My exams went okay, fairly okay. I didn't work with, thank you. I didn't work with them this week. So I'm super excited to see everything they've been able to do. It looks really good. Thank you.
Okay. So then in that case, yeah, I didn't hear back from Cynthia on Slack. So in that case, we can probably go on to the learning module presented by Julia, and then we can maybe circle back on that a little bit later, or next week for our last meeting if necessary. So take it away, Julia. Do you want me to, are you okay with sharing?
Nope, I can share it.
Yay!
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I will not start in presenter mode because I have to switch to the links I will share. And yes, welcome to the learning module today. And it's about accessibility and the what, why, and how behind it. Yeah, it's a very important topic, and I hope after this learning module, it's also important for our Collabs to improve the code to make it more accessible, which already is, by the way, I checked it. But I will present, as I already said, the topic on what, why, and how behind the accessibility, and how we can improve our code and the code and the website and the applications to make it more accessible, and why it is important to do so, and what is accessibility in the web in general. So the first thing is that I guess you all saw this hashtag already somewhere, the A11Y, and this shortener is made by, the reason why it is shortened is that it makes it more readable when you use it as a hashtag, and it means that there between the A and the letter Y, there are 11 characters, and so it was shortened to A11 and the Y. this is kind of funny, I think. And yeah, a totally good way to shorten this word and use it as a hashtag. So what is accessibility? And I will quote it from Wikipedia. Web accessibility is the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers to prevent interaction with or access to websites on the World Wide Web by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, and socioeconomic restrictions on bandwidth and speed. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, generally all users have equal access to information and functionality. Yeah, as mentioned here, there are three kinds of disabilities, like the physical ones or the situational disabilities, which we will talk about in other slides. And in terms of the W3C, which stands for World Wide Web Consortium, it maintains a working group dedicated to web accessibility and publishes related standards. And in the US, the section 508 requires government agencies to make websites accessible to people with disabilities. And the W3C, this is a guideline they made. This is a very good resource to get all the information about how to handle accessibility on your website and on your project. There is also in terms of Canada, for example, they have also a Disability Act, and which was created in 2005, and they are more stricter than the ones in the US. So they're not only the public sector has to fulfill all the requirements for accessibility on their website, but also the private sector and the NPOs. And for those to fail to comply, they could face a fine for up to $100,000 for each day they violate. And yeah, this is quite a amount of money. And in Europe, especially the European Union, they have the web accessibility and directive was made in 2016, which requires all the European Union countries to comply with directive for make the public sector services websites accessible to everyone by 2020 and 2021. And this not only includes the websites, but also the mobile applications. Another example would be Norway. They have very strict requirements on web accessibility, and in 2014, they required both public and the private sector to make the website accessible to people with disabilities under the rules. And there is a story about a regional airline which did not go with the. Also, I see these are different slides than the Luca ones, which they did not fulfill their requirements, and so they had to pay for each day they violated this for $15,000 per day. And there is this huge article on it. I will share it in Slack. So you see, it will become more and more important to fulfill their requirements, not even for accessibility reasons, also for a financial reason, I would say. Yeah, and some people with disabilities access websites using assistive technologies. This includes screen readers, screen magnifiers, speech input, assistive keyboards, and braille displays. For example, the assistive keyboards could be when people have no hands or not able to move their hands. There would be a special joystick, and so they have to move through the websites with their using the chain with the joystick, for example. So there are already very great technologies so that everyone could use it, I think. And also the braille displays, I never saw this before, but it's a machine which creates brailles while reading on the websites. So if you have disability with seeing, you might need to read text with touch, and the braille display allows you to do that. It seems already very far technology. And so there are popular screen readers include NVDA, which is a free tool and one of the most famous ones. And there is also JAWS on Windows and VoiceOver, which is built into Mac OS. So let's talk about the why behind it. I think the most reason is because it's just the right thing to do, to provide equitable access to information for everyone. And you also may have the legally obligated to make your website accessible, like I talked before, about the fines when you violate the requirements, and more people in the US access websites with assistive technologies than live in Canada. So some estimate that it's 20% of website visitors have some sort of disability. And in case of Europe, one in 4 people are disabled, and this is also a huge amount of people who have disabilities. And in the whole world, there is about 1 billion people who have kind of disabilities and are in need from the accessible websites. And finally, making your pages more accessible for people with disabilities makes them more accessible for everyone, meaning that structuring the website better by using semantic HTML and proper design and color contrast. I mean, if disabled people can use the website, so of course everyone can use the website. So this graph is from Microsoft, and here you can see different states of, so 3 different states of how a person could be disabled, like permanent, temporary, situational. As you can see here in sense of touch, you can be born with 1 arm, or maybe in an accident you lose an arm or both arms. So this means you are always disabled, and this person maybe will definitely have to use like a joystick for a skin, for example. But so when you make a website accessible for a person who is in a state like this, then also people who have only temporary, like an arm injury, can use it right away. And also situational, which would be, for example, a new parent, you have the child in your arm and you don't have both arms to use the website. So it will help all of them when you make it for the people for a person in the worst state. And the 3 categories, like permanent, temporary, situational, is also for seeing or hearing or speaking. So it's always the best thing to do to make personas for the last group, or for the people with the most sad disability. Make it accessible for everyone. I'm sorry. And the last topic would be how you can make your website more accessible. There are a few points, but even if you fulfill all the points, you maybe not have your website 100% accessible, but this would already be a good way to start with, like using valid semantic HTML, as I already mentioned. So this would mean to categorize your website into a header part or a main part or a footer part, and and not only or sections or articles, and not only use div and span because they are not semantic, they just contain they just have the content, but doesn't to structure the code, but doesn't mean anything. So yeah, so it's important to use, like I said, the semantic HTML, and also to include the old attributes, for example, on image tags, which does not mean to use the when you use an image, then the attributes should not be picture of myself, because image already says that it's an image. So if you, for example, I have the extension in Visual Studio Code, which is X accessibility linter, and it also complains because I forget about it and I write picture of this person, and this already is tagged to not write picture or image into the old attribute. In the old attribute, just you can also leave it empty. For example, in cases like this, when it's just a profile picture, or if it's a decorative picture which don't need any further descriptions, then you can leave the text empty, but it's important to have the old text still there. And yeah, there are the area attributes which you already used in your code. And it's also important that you ensure your content is switchable also via keyboard, and ensure to content and tab ordering makes sense. So sometimes when you use models, the box models, then it could be, I know it from my Collab time that we have programs with this. Then suddenly the tags weren't in the right order, but you can work with tab index, I guess, and to write the order which the tab should follow. So you write this is tab index 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then it would go this way, but we will see it in the demo, I think. And yeah, it's important to use sufficient color contrast. There's also in the guidelines the percentages which are, you have to fulfill the color contrast. And yeah, like you did now, don't use only color to significate state, because sometimes there are okay, I didn't see it anymore, but there were problems in the past when, for example, in shopping websites, you have this cool round button where color from a t-shirt, for example, it's blue and red and green, and okay, we know it because we don't be colorblind. We are not colorblind, for example, but people are colorblind, so they can not differentiate between these colors. So it would be important to, when you click on the blue button, that somewhere is this is blue, or this is red, or this is a green t-shirt. Yeah, but already you have a very great solution by ordering it in the Zoom kind of zone and not Zoom group. Yes, and here are some tools to identify the A11Y issues for remediation. There are such automated tools like X. This is a good start, but only finds about 30% of issues. Yeah, I think this is built on Lighthouse. We also have guided audits, such as what's built in the accessibility insights. This is a Chrome extension, and I will use this when I demo a website about it. And there are audits by accessibility testers for companies such as Fabltech Labs. So you can, as far as I understand, you can send your website to this company, and there are disabled people. Yeah, disabled people, and they test the website for you because they are disabled. So they have also they use their text, for example, yeah, the joystick I mentioned, or the Braille, and so they can really test if the website is accessible for them. So this would be, I guess, the point who makes really sure that your website is 100% accessible. Yeah, and now it's demo time. So I will share when I'm able to use Google. Yes, I will share this one, my screen with, I thought we use Stack Overflow. We also tested it in my cohort because we are using it very often as a developer. So let's take a look on how accessible this website is. I downloaded the extension, this Accessible Insights for Web, and there are 3 different ways you can test it. And let's start with the fast test. And this automatically checks the site. And as you can see, there are still 200 failures. I think when in my cohort we tested it, there were even more. But most of them are from the color contrast, which is still huge. And when you open it, you can see, for example, how you would be able to fix it by making a more sufficient color contrast. So this is the number which should be, or the contrast ratio which you should use to make the color accessible. And going back to the site, you can see everywhere, this is the red highlighted where the problems are. So as you already see, so on the other side, that yeah, it's the color contrast is the problem, and how you can fix it. And also you can use, when I open the developer tools, then you can inspect it in the HTML. It will highlight it where you can find it, the code which should be which should be updated to make it more accessible. Yes, then we have the tab stops, which shows you how the tabs are working when using the keyboard to navigate through the web. Hopefully, let's use the text. Yeah, I use the text, so now we are on the heading. And another way would be this button and the person. And yeah, it shows you the way the tab index is working on this side. So it's really cool and very chronological.
That's super helpful to see that map go through it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So you can, yeah, you should definitely try this out to take a look on how your website is accessible. And here you can see what is it called? Sorry. Yeah, this gives you another tons of information about your website, which is not working. I wanted to do, let's start over. Sorry, I did. Oh, where is it? Sorry. The assessment I wanted to show you. Yeah, the assessment, there are tons of information. You can show how the HTML is used. For example, let's take the heading, and yeah, now you can see that this, for example, is the H1 element. Are there more H's? Okay, it's not working as yeah, sorry, the visual helper. Yeah, now you can see all the H tags, for example, the heading 1 and this is used heading 3, and you can see, yeah, this how the HTML is structured. Yeah, this extension is really cool, and you should definitely try it out for your website. To maybe there's some improvement you could make, and I will also show you a website which is more accessible than Stack Overflow, and this would be the US government, and which requires this W3 consortium guidelines. And when doing a fast pass on this one, you can see that they filled none, and they have a 100% accessible website. Yeah, this would be it. There are some resources I will share on Slack after the meeting, and yeah, if you have any questions or other mentions about web accessibility, I would be glad to hear it. And this would be it for the
great demo,
learning
Julia.
module.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it a lot. Quick question. When it comes to building your apps, are all of your apps accessible?
Mine?
Yeah.
No. No, sometimes I'm struggling mostly with color, because when I like a color and then have to change it to make it more accessible, this is always the hardest part of me, I would say. Yeah.
Nice.
But I'm still trying. I'm also trying very hard to make it 100% accessible. But for me, the important part is to make it in the green state. So when you use the Lighthouse, for example, and Edge and Chrome, or I think you can use it everywhere, then it's parts are red or yellow or green, and the green is about more than 80%, I think. And this is my goal, to make it at least green. Yeah, our goal should be 100%. I know.
Thank you so much.
No, that's a good point. It's definitely like, I think, yeah, like we, like when I was first kind of starting out with learning to code and everything, I was like, oh my God, okay, accessibility is something that I have to learn, and then like I'll get good at it and then I'll be able to like do it. But it's more just something that you kind of adopt gradually. And as you learn more and more about like building better apps and building more technically advanced apps, and then also having more use cases with different types of users and differently abled types of users, that's when you start like actually being able to have these concrete examples of like, oh, okay, this is when I would want to, I don't even know, like add this kind of contrast over this one, and then you just kind of adopt it gradually. And then, as Julia said, like hoping to get to a certain point where it's like, okay, there's always room for improvement, but yeah, this is a good range, rather than not thinking about it at all. Good question though.
Yep, and me too. I also, if it passes the Lighthouse audit, it's okay. And I have accessibility in the back of my mind, but it's not a top priority. But it should be more, though. I agree.
Yeah, I think the overall conversation that people in tech are having is moving in a good direction, and I think as it gets more and more not accepted, but I guess more popular and more well known, that's when things are really going to start getting more and more, I guess, easy to adopt, and there'll be like maybe more frameworks that are just like inherently, I mean, there are already frameworks that are inherently more accessible than others, so it kind of gives you an opportunity to build without having the need to like learn more about something else. It's just like automatically done for you. So
yeah, true.
To see how things develop in that way. Cool. Good work, Julia. Do we have any more questions or any talk about accessibility? Because if not, we can maybe go on to Cynthia's demo. I'd love to see it.
Cynthia is now a regex expert.
Oh, wow.
That makes however many of us, because I'm not included. I'm not good at regex.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. I took a
okay.
nap and ended up taking long. Yeah, but let me share my screen. So I think I need to let me try again. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe Katya went through the first thing, the brainstorming session, how it went. Yeah, so I worked on the list view, trying to make it like the items be grouped in like categories, and also changing the color, because it was at first on the whole item, so we wanted it to be on only on the checkbox. So okay, so let me try to, okay, let me delete all this, and then it's I'm going to add 4 items with okay, think it's yeah. So when I try to click the item, then it will go based on the category zone, kind of zone. Yeah, not zone. And this also going to be not zone. Okay, so let me also, if I try to search, it will also remove anything that doesn't have those characters. Okay, so let me go through the code. Yeah, so to change the color, so I first passed the index, which is the one that was kind of specifying which color that we have to put on a checkbox. So I passed it in the checkbox, and then and here on the label, then I added the index. So if I go to the CSS here, you see that it's going to, I added also this list item label, so that then every time based on the index, it just adds the color. Also to group the items in categories, yeah, this is in the list view. So what I did, I just created 4 arrays for the 4 categories. And then after getting the search result, I check the index. If it's zone, then the item is added in the zone category. If it's kind of zone, added in the very zone, and then not zone also. So this includes, it's because every time we're trying to delete, it was adding more elements, like it was adding duplicates. So this includes make sure that it doesn't add another item that's already there. And then after creating the categories, then I created the 4 divs for each category, and then I made sure that this H4 tag only displays when there is something in the very zone category or any category. And also it's mapped through all the list item in that category and then displays them. And it's the same thing for other categories. Also, I added this set. So in case the value changes, it's going to set the category so that we'll get a different result. So yeah, I think that's it. Or maybe I added also some CSS. Let me see. Yeah, so I did some CSS to add the line, the H4. Katia was the one who were like suggesting colors and the font. So yeah, so he helped me find out the best font to also use for the list view. So I think that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, great work here. Great demo, as always.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any questions off the top of my head. Does anyone? It's all pretty clear. Are these merged both?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet.
going to do it this evening.
Okay. Cool. So awesome. Such good work, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, such good work here. We can, I think, well, I mean, at Golfo, you'll probably go into more of what we're doing for next week, but it's kind of the same story as, well, anyway, I'll let you
Okay.
take it away.
Yep, I was looking at the issues. So this week it's again more of the same. It's like the last week where you have to decide on the process you want to follow and to make the app more professional in any way you think, to make the design more professional, make the code more professional, clean it up. And I'll go over your issues. I see that you have some issues. By the way, here, these issues, were these fixed this week? Were these for this week
Yes,
or?
these issues can
Yeah.
be closed.
Okay, so do you have any plans for the coming week? Have you thought of anything, or will you brainstorm this week to figure out what you're going to do?
Yeah, maybe you can have a brainstorming session since Chinemi wasn't there with us. Maybe she could add, maybe she could say anything that we could improve. If not, maybe we can work on the accessibility. I don't know if it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, that will make the app more professional, you know, to make it more accessible. And by the way, I like how you made the issues, that you have the acceptance criteria. You made some basic wireframes. Good job on that. Because the wireframes, they can help you collaborate better and have an idea of what you want to make. Yep, and great job. I'm looking forward to the next week. Do you have any questions?
The last week or the next week is the last one, right?
Yep. So your last chance to finish up the app. I mean, you can continue working on it afterwards. You can keep improving it because it will always make a nice portfolio piece. Yep. So as I said, not much to say this week. You have the hang of it. Again, try to make the issues so it's visible what you're working on. And thank you very much, all of you. You did a really great job this week.
Yeah, second that. I think you did a great job of collaborating and organizing yourselves for figuring out what you wanted to work on, and obviously the product is amazing. And so yeah, I think right now, as someone was saying, Golfo, maybe if you wanted to release this app right now as it is, it's like totally great. And then, but yeah, this next week can just be about, yeah, if you want to refactor anything, or if you want to like abstract some things out that are repeating themselves maybe, or yeah, taking more of like an accessibility angle, that could be great. But yeah, I think it's, yeah.
the idea about cleaning up the CSS. So I think Katya, you
Mhm.
said you could use SAS. Maybe you could go over the CSS you're using and see, check out if maybe you're including default values that aren't needed. I mean, each property has a default, so you don't need to add it. For example, I think that somewhere I saw a direction left to right, which is a default. So even if you don't add it, you will still get left to right. So tiny things like that. Yep.
I
As we
think
said,
also when you're interested, there is something with the meta tags, which could be for better reachability from the app. I wasn't part. I think we did it in our app in the last cohort, but I wasn't. I was on the design team, not on this team, but they did very much with meta and description and favicons for the small thing in the URL and stuff like this. If you're interested in, it's not, yeah, it's what you're interested in.
Yeah, that was a super cool addition. The meta tags.
Yeah,
Just like, yeah, anytime you're sharing the URL and then it just like populates with like the picture, which could maybe even use the SVG that you guys used.
yeah,
Like a little description. Totally, that's a good point.
yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, we will see what you will demo next week. Already very excited.
Yeah, this is so such good work. This has been such a
Totally.
cool project to watch like unfold and see the progress made each week. And then next week during the meeting, it'll be our last one. So we'll do our demos and everything, and then we'll just have like one last retro for like what went well, just to kind of give everyone like a little bit of kind of like a parting words or whatnot. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
me too. Can't wait.
Okay. Any further questions or comments or anything? All right. Well then, good luck for the next week, and we will see everyone in a week from now on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.